The Play's the Thing, with your host, Judy Sleed. Special guest, Russell Nype, Tony Award winner. Underwritten by East Hampton YMCA, Paul Brennan, and Imaginations, Inc. Now here's Judy.
Oh, thank you, Lee. Shall I call you Lee? Thanks for welcome to the Play's the Thing show. And I have a wonderful playmate today. It's called The Play's the Thing. Russell Nype. And it says on the screen you're a Tony Award winner, but it didn't say why.
We didn't say why. You mean what for, not why.
Yes.
What for? We don't want to shock the audience too early.
No.
To realize I'm so old as I am. No, my first Tony Award was opposite Ethel Merman in Call Me Madam.
Oh, so
that was
you're
1950. My second Tony Award was opposite Elaine Stritch in Goldilocks, and that was 1957, I guess. Mm-hmm. And so for the next 40 years, I worked consistently in many things, television, movies, and theater. But I haven't got my third Tony Award. Now I will not, because I will never appear on the stage again.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you want a third one.
Well, I used to want one 10 or 15 years ago, but now I'd much rather stay right here in East Hampton and relax and enjoy.
I'm ready to write your place so you could win another award.
No, I don't want to perform anymore.
No.
No. I really enjoyed it. I loved every minute of it. And I had a wonderful roller coaster ride all through life, and I really loved it. But I think the only thing I would really enjoy, because when I was before I went to New York, I went to college and whatnot, and I was a scholarship student at college. I was editor of the paper, and I wrote. And I always thought I was going to be a writer too. So the only thing left for me now, you see, now that I don't care to perform anymore, is to quietly write the dirty book about my life.
Oh, I'd love to read it.
So I may get around to that if I have time. But life's so busy.
Have you
I love it out here in East Hampton. We gave up Manhattan. We gave up our apartment there 2 years ago, and now we live here and in Kennebunkport, Maine in the summer. So the combination is enough to keep me busy.
But have you started your memoirs?
No, as I say, I haven't started.
So what are you waiting for?
Well, I'm too busy. Too many things to do. I mean,
really?
Yes.
What do you do?
Oh, well, I have a whole family, and I also we have real estate interests and house in different things, and so I really have gotten to the point I don't like all those theatrical types anymore.
In other words, you don't like to be someplace at a certain time.
You know those terrible things in the movies. People used to be ladies and gentlemen to some extent in the movies. Now you got them all over the covers of all those people. I'm so tired of looking at them and reading about them. I don't read about them. I just, skip them. But when I'm in the supermarket and I'm going down those magazines, you can't help it.
Yes.
You're waiting in line, and there they are.
And all the secrets.
So I don't care. Let them. At least they kept the secrets quiet in the old days.
That's right. There were the studio moguls who directed everything and everybody, even the gossip columnists. So you can't.
And they were treated. And I was actually there was during my first visits to Hollywood, it was still there. They were treated like children.
Yes.
And you didn't do this, you didn't do that.
Right. They even told you not to be seen with such a person, or you shouldn't get married, it's not good for the audience.
Well, remember when Ingrid Bergman, for instance, Bergman got thrown out of Hollywood because she had a child with somebody
Rossellini.
else. Yes, and with Rossellini, and her career was over. Now they go having children, they couldn't care less.
Yes.
I mean, it's the worst and most immoral, ridiculous exhibition that I can imagine. No, it's awful. Anyway.
Changing times.
Changing times. Well, I'm not supposed to get in this philosophical discussion with you, or am I?
Why not?
Why not? After all, we said everything last year, for God's sake. Wasn't I here about a year ago?
Yes, you were.
You talked me into this.
I did.
So I did it. You did talk to me because I really
twisted your arm.
I don't really care to have any publicity anymore. I just want to coast away.
I'm sorry
quietly.
because you know so many people are watching this. People will knock on your door, ask for an autograph.
Actually, the other day in the supermarket, a woman came up, all smiles, and she said, "I knew I recognized you a few days ago," and she says, "This morning I saw you on the Bill Cosby show." This morning, this is just a couple days ago. Because they have reruns of a few things I did on television, and the Bill Cosby runs all the time. I still get little dinky residuals, you know, in the mail. After 20 years, I think it's 20 years ago.
20 years ago.
Yes, and then there was one also, one of the movies that I had a very nice, very small part in was Love Story. Of course, that was one of the most famous movies that's been around.
Oh, I remember that.
And I played the Harvard professor who turned, more than a professor, he was the, he was the one who turned down his scholarship because he was so rich.
It's good to be so rich.
Anyway, it's all been fun. It's all been fun.
Now, I ask you to bring some photos of your whatever you had in the
Yes, I have a lot of them. And I have a lot,
and,
I have boxes and boxes in the barn in Maine.
Sure, but I'm so happy that you have some. I'd like to go through them and you could tell me what it means.
Well, some of them are fun, I think, yes.
Okay.
This was kind of fun because this is the first professional picture I ever took in New York. And I was singing duets with a little girl, and it was the beginning of my career. It was not on Broadway, it was at little nightclubs in New York. And this was before, and then we'd 1 Fifth Avenue and the St. Regis and different places we were booked. And after that, I kept going to have auditions, and finally I got my first Broadway show when I was still singing with a little girl. I got my first Broadway show, and here's the picture of me in my first Broadway show, which was the musical version of The Little Foxes, called Regina. And I played the nasty young man who stole the bonds. And of course it was a real adventure because, my gosh, to make your first show on Broadway. And you know, you'd started meeting occasionally a celebrity. And I remember the first celebrity that I ever really met was I was coming down from my dressing room, and this man came by, and he reached up with his hand. It was Noel Coward. He reached up with his hand and said, "Dear boy, tonight you played one of the most difficult roles in the theater, and you played it brilliantly, brilliantly." So that was my first contact with fame, was with Noel Coward.
Did it scare you?
Nothing has ever scared me.
Oh, wow.
I only got scared. After. I think you're too full of energy and hope and desire to be scared until things happen after you become a success that frighten you a bit.
Oh, did it really
On the
happen?
way, I'm never frightened. This is with Janet Blair in One Touch of Venus, which I did not do the original, but I did it as a spectacular on NBC, and also it was my first exposure to these big outdoor theaters that I started appearing, you know, where it can rain on you. Like St. Louis, it seats 12,000 people, and in the middle of it, why it can rain and all that stuff, but it was interesting. And this is my glamour photo before I started wearing the glasses. This is the way I looked before I started wearing the glasses. All this is when I was, you know, really terribly young, and not so terribly. It was nice to be young, but that was before I put on the glasses to do this next picture that you're going to see.
Look.
And I've been having the glasses ever
since. A real
since.
hard time.
Of course, I could never see anyway. You know, I was always nearsighted, and then they put the glasses on me. Although I wore glasses. But they put the glasses on me to sing opposite Ethel Merman and Call Me Madam. And of course that was the thing that really established me well enough so that I made a living
this is the famous picture.
And a very famous picture of us singing a very famous duet. I hear singing and there's no one there that Irving Berlin wrote especially for me.
We'll try it later.
Compliment.
I'm going to be Ethel, and you'll be
Oh, you are?
Russell.
Oh, I don't know.
Russell.
I don't know. Everybody in the world wanted to sing that duet with me, and they were all terrible, except the real ones. You know, I've always been amused about all the people. I sang it with, of all the people I sang with Ethel Merman, Tallulah Bankhead, Ginger Rogers, Joan Blondell, Judy Garland, Eddie Fisher. I sang that duet with everybody during our lifetime, all the people.
And they were terrible?
Oh, no, no, they weren't so terrible. And Joan Blondell, she was another one. They all wanted to sing it with me, and so over the years. And this when I also did a nightclub act at midnight after the show and Call Me Madam, this is the cartoon they made of me singing away. And that was something I've always done. Mulholland was his name. It was done 50 years ago.
Wow.
It's been a long time.
Oh, this is real cool.
And the last time I appeared at the Persian Room of the Plaza as the star of the room, this is the way I looked at the bulletin board as you went into the Persian Room. They had this. I had become more sophisticated by then, you see.
Yeah, this is a real. It shows the nightclub.
It's all fun.
Good ad.
That's right. And here I am with one of my favorite people of all time, Miss Joan Blondell. And I just adored her. She was one of the truly nice people in the world. And I don't know, I knew her so well, but you know, at this point in my life, everybody's dead but me. And so I take it for granted nobody knows who anybody is.
Who's the gentleman on the other end?
Janet McDonald's husband. What was his name? Gene something.
I know him well.
But I forget.
Nelson, Gene Nelson.
No, not Nelson. He was a dancer.
Sure?
No, it wasn't.
Oh yeah, that's a dancer.
Yeah. and this is a picture, perhaps you've heard so often of Rodgers and Hammerstein. Well, this is a picture of me with Oscar Hammerstein, and I had been signed to star in a musical called Pipe Dream, which ultimately I didn't do, but it was a terrible flop anyway. But here I am with Oscar when he showed me the script, and it's fun to have the memories of all these wonderful people that you've known in a lifetime. Just wonderful. Here I am with Dorothy Loudon. She and I did a television series in California called Dorothy, and unfortunately only ran for 4 episodes. So, but we enjoyed it anyway, and I enjoyed working with Dorothy, who was, you know, a great talent.
Oh, this is...
This is another one. This was me in Lady Audley's Secret, which was a musical and a very wild kind of a thing that was actually opened in Chicago, and we were a big success out there. So I always think this is kind of fun with the uniform and everything. And of course the mustache.
You look dashing.
Oh yes. Yes, it was very difficult to be dashing.
And this
is the young lady. This is the young lady that was opposite me in Call Me Madam, the princess, the one I fell in love with in the show, and the one actually that I was so in love with that that's why Irving Berlin wrote that song I Hear Singing, because I was so in love. I hear singing and there's no one there, and blossoms, and then Ethel would sing, you don't need analyzing, you're just in love. And so this was the princess that I was supposedly in love with in 1950.
I have a photo. I just want to say this quickly, like with this ashtray here, and I'm going to have to show it to you because I don't know who those people are.
Which people?
The photo that I have, I don't have it on me, but this picture reminded me of it.
Oh, well, everybody went to the Stork Club in those days.
No, those are actors, I think.
Everybody in the world. This, if you see it, I only brought this along for the hell. This was my last role at Lake Forest College. This was the role that I played before I went in the Army, just before I graduated. Sheridan Whiteside in The Man Who Came to Dinner. And it was such fun, and I really did quite well. And I'll never forget, I don't know if you saw the show, because it's so long ago, but they did revive it. And,
I did. That was the only acting I ever did on stage.
Really?
With the men. I played the crazy lady.
You did? My God, and you're still in character.
You're right. You're right. I try.
Oh, yes. Now, here we are at the Stork Club again. I used to go quite often because Sherman Billingsley, if you were in a success, he just, the one who owned it, he was just wonderful. And in all the years that I went there, I never received a check after I received it. Never. And here I am with Spencer Tracy at table number 1 in the Cub Room, which housed all the famous people in the world. Everybody went to the Cub Room in those days. And here is Enoch Snow in Carousel. I own a little house and I sail a little boat and the fish I catch I sell.
Who's the little girl?
The little girl is Pat Stanley, who did a number of Broadway shows. As a matter of fact, Pat and I were together in Goldilocks. We played friends. You sure you're not getting bored with all these pictures?
No, no, I love them. I do.
Here I am with Elaine Stritch in Private Lives. Of all things, all these various things in a lifetime that one has to go through and do. And
that's a great story.
Fun. It was fun.
And this is also
Colonel Pickering in My Fair Lady that I did out in California one time, and I always thought it was fun. I also, on Broadway, actually, at the theater there, I played Freddie at one time.
Did you?
I have often walked down the street before.
Aye, that's a lovely song, yes.
And finally, you're so lucky you get to the end of it.
No.
This is Ruth Roman and me. We did a thing out there in Hollywood together, and I think it's kind of a fun kind of picture.
Was this before or after Strangers on a Train?
Oh,
she was in it.
I don't remember. What I don't really remember whether it was after, because I never go to a lot of movies. I'm not. I'm very selective with movies.
Well, these pictures really, especially this one. This reminds me of myself. I used to. I have a picture like that. That I look almost like that, but not really. I'm not as tall as.
Well, I just grabbed these. I've got boxes full. I have to laugh because really, I was introduced to Hollywood in the days. My first dinner date was Joan Crawford. I was introduced to Hollywood in the days when you had real dignified stars. At least, you know, they made believe they were dignified. They weren't having children and they weren't unmarried and they weren't. Well. But anyway, it was wonderful. Lots of things. That'll all be in my dirty book if I ever get around to writing it. All the stories.
All the stories. But I'm surprised you didn't start yet. Everybody's writing. Even I'm writing.
Yeah, but I never do things that everybody else does. I like to think that that when I was born they threw away the mold.
Well, I'm sure they did. I'm sure they did.
Yeah.
You're 1 in a million, trillion.
Well, I don't know about that. We'll have to see.
And you were singing and also dancing?
No. Well, I danced to this extent. When I first got to New York, of course, I had no money. I arrived with my soldier's uniform. I just gotten out of the Army, $300 mustering out pay. Didn't know one person. And I had met, when I was in the Army, a woman who was sister with the head of Arthur Murray's. And so she said, now you must go and say hello to my sister at Arthur Murray's when you get to New York. So I was walking down the street. I just arrived here, didn't know anybody in New York. And I saw Arthur Murray. So up the steps I went, and I asked her, and she said, she came out, and she took me in to her office and called everybody in, and she said, look, why? She said, take off your glasses. And she looked at me. And she called everybody and said, look, he still has the stars in his eyes. I hadn't been ruined by New York yet. And she said, you must teach dancing while you're getting into the theater. So I have to make a living. And so I went through the course, and I taught dancing, you know, ballroom dancing, to pay the rent. And then I'd go away and have an audition. And finally, the auditions paid off.
Well, that's good, because a lot of people try to go into that business and they don't.
I would say hundreds of millions try to go into the business.
Yes.
At least hundreds of thousands.
And they don't have the stamina to wait it out.
Well, they may not have the talent either.
Well, that too.
You see,
well,
I'm
sometimes
not
it doesn't
one that believes,
matter.
I'm not one that believes that there's a lot of extraordinary talent. You know, I think that one has to have a unique quality. I always said I was the only blind date that was playing a juvenile. That's why I got in there. But you know, people like Ethel Merman and Mary Martin and all those, they were all unique people, and they were just electric personalities, and you know, you have to have a quality that fills that theater in order to and it has to be unique, or otherwise it's.
But if you keep pushing and pushing, then people will notice you.
Oh, not well, maybe badly. The more people push, the more I can't stand them. Oh. That's one of the reasons I think too many people in show business are too pushy. It's why I retire out to East Hampton.
There are more opportunities for actors now than years ago.
Well, with television, there's an awful lot of...
and regional theaters.
Yes.
And all those avenues. Television, I mean, they make their own movies for TV.
Yes, it's a whole different world.
It is.
Which I don't care to be a part of anymore. I'm too old to be a part of it anyway.
Oh, don't say that. No, you are young. You're as young as you feel.
I
mean, if you say, what shall I say?
I like a whole different... I have always liked a variety in life.
Well, there's plenty of it.
It's one of the reasons that when I first saw Kennebunkport, Maine, that I bought a house there over 50 years ago, is because no actors were anywhere near there. Of course, I didn't realize
they're going to follow you.
I didn't realize that when I bought the house in Kennebunkport, that George Bush was going to become president of the United States and ruin the town for me. No, he didn't really.
He ruined it. What did he do?
But I had no idea that we were going to have the presidents coming in there. Of course, he wasn't a president when I first met him because he was just an oil man from Texas.
Right.
You know, all those years ago.
Did you meet his father, too?
I knew his father, Preston. Preston Bush was the first person I met in the family.
Oh, you're talking about George W.'s grandfather.
His grandfather was the first person of the Bush group. And they're a lovely group. They may not have done everything that's possibly the way we all look at it, but we can't... I love watching the political scene, and because of the fact I'm so getting on in years, nothing can happen that's too terrible while I'm alive. I only worry about my son and my granddaughter.
Oh, me
and
too.
That thing.
Me too.
Because I'll be fine, you know. I'm only have a few more, years and I'll be finished.
What would it help that you worry? How would it help the situation?
If I worried?
Yeah.
No, I don't believe in worry. There's no...
But you just said you worry about your son.
Oh, about them. Well, let's say I'm concerned about their future.
Yeah, right.
Because in my lifetime, it can't be so terrible. Well, you know, who knows? But I worry
maybe another
about
20, 30 years.
I think about their future, but as far as I'm concerned...
Don't you think you'll be around 20, 30 years?
Beg your pardon?
Don't you think you will be around in 20 and 30 years?
I doubt it very much.
No? People live long now.
Much. Yes, well, I still play tennis 3 times a week. I play all summer long. I'm out there. And I love playing tennis. And
you are healthy?
Yes. Yes, I don't take any pills or anything.
Well,
and my only thing I take is vodka at 5 o'clock. I believe in him. And as a matter of fact, it's really marvelous. You picked up the paper, and there's the other day was another article that said a person over 65 should have at least 2 drinks a day.
Is that
I was all for that. Not during the daytime. 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
Not before 5 o'clock. Before dinner. And they say it's very good for you.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad they think so. Yes. And I just go along for my health, you see.
Did you write them a letter how much you appreciated what they said?
No, I don't. I've never written anybody any letters. No fan letters from me. No.
I used to write fan letters, but I don't do a lot of things what I used to do.
Well, we can grow up and not bother doing it either, you know.
Yes. Yes.
I sometimes wonder when I see the shows that are so successful. It turns out that, on television particularly, the shows that are the most successful, I never watch. I just find them boring. I hate
to say that, but me too.
Yes, I think the shows that are watched by all these millions of people, I don't happen to have the taste of millions of people, which may be unfortunate, but it's just true. Mm-hmm. I will watch all the political things. I love to watch them, and that's about it on television.
Well, we ran through all these pictures and a lot of things, and the half hour's just gone.
Well, that's good.
So for an encore, I think, well, first I want to thank you for coming.
Thank you.
I want to thank Evan and Lee and all my underwriters. And I think we could go out with singing that song.
You think so?
Yes.
I don't know.
Would you mind?
I hear singing and there's no one there. I smell blossoms and the trees are bare. All day long I seem to walk on air. I wonder why, I wonder why. You better sing a little of Ethel's part.
Okay. You don't need analyzing, and it's not so surprising that you feel very strange but nice. Your heart goes pitter-patter, and I know what's the matter, because I've been there once or twice. Bye.
Is
Bye,
that the goodbye
everybody.
gesture? Huh?
What?
That's the goodbye?
Yeah, that's
Yes.
a goodbye.
Well,
But
it's been
you
fun
had-
being with you.
Oh, it's been a lot of fun. We even got to sing, and you still could sing.
Oh, yes, I sing all the time, but I haven't sung today. You know, you really have to keep exercising your voice and whatnot.
Right.
Keep singing. No, I sing very well yet. It was no example now because I wasn't singing out. You have to get your breath under it, you know, and all that stuff.
Do you speak and sing from here or from here?
Oh, no, the diaphragm, of course.
Yeah.
That's the only way.
I never learned to do that.
Well, that's the only way you can project in the theater. It comes out over, and hits those. Well, of course, not that they need projection anymore. They all got those microphones. It's one of the reasons I've given up going.
Boom boxes.
They bore me with all those people with their mics and all that stuff.
It's so loud. You can't hear yourself talking.
Are we still on?
Yeah.
Oh, we are.